Hello and welcome to the Never a Phase podcast. I am your host. They call me Swemo. Before we get started today, we of course have to get some of the paperwork out of the way. Guys, I'm trying to do this professionally, so just help me out, would you? This show is a part of the Never a Phase Network, a collective of creators dedicated to keeping the spirit of the scene alive. Our network of creators makes social media content, share music news and reviews, and we bring you great podcasts like Emo Kids Anonymous, the Imperfect Dads podcast, the Wasting Time podcast, the Ska Mailman podcast, and the Certified Fangirl podcast. We now have 6 shows on the network, more content than you could possibly listen to. Go check it all out and find all the stuff we're doing on Instagram, on TikTok, and YouTube at Never a Phase Network, and by visiting us at neveraphasenetwork.com. Please, 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 I'm begging you, give me a like, give me a subscribe, a follow, leave a rating or a review, whatever you can do to help spread the message of the Never a Phase Network and this podcast. I would greatly appreciate it. Today's show is brought to you by Eargasm Earplugs. Eargasm produces high-fidelity earplugs which reduce noise up to 21 decibels while maintaining audio clarity, so you can still hear everything around you. Concerts, festivals, and any other loud environment where you want to protect your hearing without missing a thing. Get yours today at eargasm.com and use code EMO10 to save 10%. All right, let's start the show. My guests tonight are a pop punk band hailing from the Jersey Shore originally, and they've been recapturing the sound of early 2000s pop punk and emo. At the time of this recording, we are anxiously awaiting brand new music from them just a few hours away. They are releasing a new single and a music video for their song Sideways. That means by the time that you hear this, you can go listen to Sideways right now. They're prepping for the release of their next EP, Never Meant to Fit, coming this summer, and they head out in May for a run of shows to places like Worcester, Mass., New Haven, Connecticut, Baltimore, Philly, Brooklyn, and Asbury Park, New Jersey. I am delighted to welcome to the Never a Phase podcast, Turn 2. How you guys doing tonight?
Hey, good. How
Doing
are you?
great.
I'm pretty good, and we mentioned that. I guess I have to give you guys like a lot of like thank yous and you're spending release evening with me. Like you guys aren't like anxiously awaiting the drop.
I mean, yeah, we definitely are. But we gotta get it out there, and you got a cool thing going. So we figured this is a good way to promote it.
The less glamorous life of the more indie bands. You're not sitting in a hotel room popping champagne, waiting for the music video to hit.
I was just finishing my Venusaur Lego set downstairs, so like how I was celebrating.
So I wanted to ask you guys, first of all, welcome to the show. But I want to know I sometimes like to ask the etymology of a band name, because when I hear Turn 2, the first thing I think is this just baseball reference? How do we get the name Turn 2?
Matchbox 20 was taken, so this was
Naturally, that was the next step.
I think Matt kind of came up with it. We were just like trying to spitball names for a long time, and we just wanted something that was like,
Not taken.
not taken,
taken.
but also like easy to come off the tongue and stuff like that. So I think Matt came up with that, and we kind of just stuck with it. But I think since we actually named the band, again, it was more so just like something short and catchy. But it kind of like plays into the fact that like Mike and I have been in touring bands before, and we did a lot of stuff back in like the early 2010s, and that kind of all fizzled out a little bit, and this is kind of like our second run around, like our second time to give this a legitimate shot at making it a real thing. So I kind of think it took on a aura of its own, even though the name wasn't originally meant to mean that, right? Kind of our second go at this whole thing, right?
it certainly also helped too that I am a huge baseball guy and I actually work in baseball. So like it was a good they were in the band before me and we ended up meeting later. And so I was like, Turn 2, this is perfect. My old band was Count to Four. I can't escape numbers. This is great. I play baseball, love baseball. It was perfect. It meshed so
I
well.
will say I was playing baseball when I came up with the name, so
There you go.
it's kind of baseball
You know,
related.
It all fits. Mike, you work in baseball? Is that what you just said?
Yeah, I work for the Phillies. So I work for Fanavision, which is like our in-game show. So it's pretty cool if you ever like come to the ballpark and hear like the batter walk-up music or all the "Here we go Phillies" and stuff. That's usually me. I also get to ring the bell when we win, which is pretty cool. So yeah, it's a big baseball guy here, and love that.
That's like an impressive lore drop, though. That's like
Yeah,
you
it's, not listen, like, ring the bell is like a whole thing in Philly, and, like, only a select few of us actually get to do it, and you're talking to one of them right now, so, it's pretty cool, and, so I got married last year, actually, up in Maine, and, I'm actually pretty good friends with the PA announcer for the Phillies. His name's Dan Baker, and, so if you've ever been to the ballpark, or down to the Philly Stadium, you've heard his voice. He's the longest tenured PA announcer in baseball history, and, he has a very distinct voice from my childhood. I remember him going like, "Batting for the Phillies, number 5, Pat Burrell," like, it's very distinct voice, and he actually announced our bridal party, coming into the, to the wedding, and it was, like, top moment of my life. It was pretty awesome.
It's amazing. I consider it the home of the most famous minor league baseball team. I'm a Mudhead, and so I love baseball. My family's a big baseball. I've done music nights with the Mudhens and stuff like. I'm still trying to convince them to do like an emo or pop punk night. They're not getting the memo that this is back, but that's
Yeah, yeah,
very
for sure.
cool.
Yeah,
We
well,
got
I think we covered
sidetracked.
everything we need to cover then too. It was all
Yeah,
baseball,
yeah.
Philly stuff, so
Just totally lore dropped and no, I checked your bio, Shane, you mentioned it. You guys seem to have collectively as a band a lot of experience in the scene, prior to Turn 2 and then now with Turn 2. How'd you guys get here? How did Turn 2 itself start? And then what was your background in the scene that led you guys to this moment?
Yeah, I mean, so Matt and I have been friends since we were like 17, and we're like in close pushing. I'm pushing 40, and he's already hit that. So,
I just turned
um,
41 about 5 days ago.
You and
um,
me, buddy, we're together.
but
Nice.
we've been friends for like a long time. And I've always played music. Matt's always played music. We just never played music together. And so in the early 2010s, I played drums in a pop punk band called With the Punches. We toured pretty heavily from like 2009 throughout to like 2013. um that's legitimately like we were on the road for like a third of the year, for a few of those years. And then we kind of like had went separate ways, kind of fit, took a back seat, if you will, in 2013. We played shows, here and there throughout the late mid 2010s. But it was always like one or two like a year, maybe every other year. So it wasn't really like a super active thing anymore. And like by like 2020, 2021, and I had been talking, and I was like, hey, like I really want to start another band. As much as fun as it is to play a gig here and there with the Punches, like it's not a regular thing anymore. So we started writing music, and we wrote a bunch of songs. Matt brought in a friend of his to play guitar and sing, and we recorded 6 songs. We spent a long time working on everything, and then our singer slash guitar player at the time was recording everything himself, and so he had everything in his possession to mix and get it ready to throw it out there. And he like didn't do anything, and then Matt kindly asked him like months after he had started this process, like, hey, have you done anything? And he like flipped out, and like he was like really really mean to Matt, and he was just like a complete like not somebody you want to work with. And at that point it got to the point where Matt and I were like, we cannot be in a band with this dude, like it's just not going to work. And we got really discouraged to the point where we thought that this may not happen at all, because we had put so much time and effort into this, and for all because we couldn't use half the songs because the other guy wrote them, not wrote them, but all of them, but some of them. So then we like that's half the songs there that we can't use, and we were just like dejected. We just kind of were like, I don't know what to do. And then I went on Instagram and threw up a story and was like, hey, we have this project, we really want it to work, we need a singer, we need a guitar player. If anybody is in this area that wants to hang out and jam and see how it goes, that would be awesome. And so once I put that out, my sister is dating this guy Pete at the time, who happens to be very good friends with Mike, and he
Well, so
forwarded that.
that's where my part of the story comes in
Yeah,
too.
yes,
Because,
you can take it over.
in the early 2010s, I was in this band called Count to Four. We also were touring pretty heavily, put out a full-length album around that time, did a couple full USs and stuff. And I ended up leaving the band because I wanted to kind of explore some other things with my life, and I got my master's degree and stuff in the process. So it was like a whole thing. But me and Pete, who was my drummer, and he's one of my oldest best friends. We're still talking and making some demos when we could and having some fun. And he just sends out of the blue one day, just sends me a screenshot of this post that Shane had made, which was like, hey, looking for a singer. I believe Starting Line and Motion City Soundtrack vibes were kind of in that post, and he sent it my way. And I had a moment where I was like, man, do I really want to get back into this? And my wife Nicole was actually like, yes, you should totally get back into us. Like, you miss doing this. I'm like, all right, cool.
Good
So
wife. That's a good wife.
yeah, good wife.
Sure is.
So I actually, the fun part of the story too is I sent Shane a demo that I had been sitting on for a really long time for the song called Nice Thing. And Nice Thing is actually going to be on our new EP as a turn 2 song. And it's going
Okay.
to be actually our next single after Sideways. So that's pretty exciting. So I reached out to him. I sent him that. He pretty much immediately was like, "Yes, come hang out and come jam." And then from there we set up a session in Red Bank, New Jersey. I came out and sang with them the first time.
Sorry, I'm just gonna have my
Dude,
my Kevin Smith Red
Right.
Bank.
Now you guys are gonna get along so well.
this is,
Yeah.
Oh,
this is weird. I saw the movie Terrifier at his movie theater at the Smod Castle like a
at the
few years
Smod
ago.
Castle?
Yeah, and he signed that's Kevin Smith for the Terrifier ticket and stuff.
Yeah, literally right next to me. I have my Kevin Smith shrine here. So I
Dude, we have a Kevin Smith shrine. That's crazy. We went on the
That's right.
cruise askew like a few years ago. Me and my wife did. Yeah, it was awesome.
earlier today. So we are now fully the ADHD is ADHDing here, but
My jammies, you gotta give me a second.
what is happening here?
Dude,
Are we
I got a
showing?
Mr. Tusk tattoo.
Oh, there
Right
you
here.
go.
Dude, Mr. Tusk is his masterpiece, in my opinion.
Did you
Yeah.
see? Oh well, see now. Look, we've gone. Did you see that there's a toy company making a golden Baphomet, a golden idol of a more satanic movie? The
No, but that's
movie.
hysterical, and it needs to
Yeah.
be on my shelf soon.
My,
Anyway, so band stuff. Anyway,
yeah.
so
Anyway, not Kevin
Yeah.
Smith. Yeah.
so that's when I kind of come into the fold, and I started out just singing, and I essentially just got a bunch of these songs that Matt and Shane had wrote together that had no vocals on them. So essentially, most of the first EP, except for Medicine, that was the song that I had brought in, was just them songs that they had already written that they need vocals on. And it was an interesting process for me because I'd never really written songs like that. I'm usually like a songwriter kind of dude. I always make things together. So taking these songs, which were all super fun and awesome, and like putting my own spin on them was something that I had never done before. So it was a really interesting and fun process for me.
So Mike, you came in as vocalist, and did you say you play guitar too?
I do now. Yeah, there were when we first started, there was another guitar player who wasn't able to continue with the band because he would for other obligations, and so I play guitar now. as
Mike
well.
was just like, "Let me play guitar and sing. Let's do it."
Yeah, I was like, please let me play guitar. I don't like singing. I would prefer to have a guitar in my hand. So
I'm doing the Brady Bunch thing. Shane, you said you're on drums. Matt, that make you other guitar then?
Yeah,
Are you like lead?
yeah, more or less.
Yeah.
I mean, Mike's. Don't sleep on Mike because he's probably a better guitarist than I am. But yeah, he handles a lot of the rhythms with little cool licks in there and shreds on the vocals.
But I
There
think
you
the
go.
cool thing about having that is like we're able to do a lot of like harmonies and dual stuff together,
Yeah.
which is really cool because we're pretty like melodic and riff heavy. I would say is what a lot of what turn 2 is, and I think that our guitars playing kind of goes together in that way. We're able to create some kind of sick riffs together.
Mike, you mentioned coming in putting lyrics and vocals over top of existing material. Was Darkest Days a lot of that existing material that you ended up working on, or did that end up being more collaborative?
Yeah, that was one where most of those songs were done, and I just came in and wrote vocals, and a lot of them I would say I made edits and chopped them up a little bit just to make them a little more conducive to my vocal style or to the song itself, much to the chagrin of Matt, who was really married to that structure. But one day I was like, trust me, please, you gotta let me go. And he once he kind of the more I showed him and the more I was like, listen, I think like this song could go this way. I think we kind of started trusting each other a little
Yeah,
bit
the
more.
more he broke down my barrier, I finally
Yeah.
accepted that the songs were better for all of that.
We got to drop a couple bars here. I just don't have any more lines. I'm out of no.
Every single one was his absolute favorite thing he'd ever written, and he was like the song's just awful without this extra 3 seconds. And I'm like,
and you took it away. No.
I did.
Well,
Stole it from me.
to that though, because I mean, I was digging back into you guys' catalog and stuff like that, checking things out. I would have certainly never guessed that, especially because thematically, Darkest Days really caught me because there's so much language about like addiction and recovery and things like that, and it's a very almost, I guess, like spiritual or mental health journey that set of songs seems to be telling. Can you just talk then about, is there like a history of addiction and recovery within the band? Is that something you brought, Mike, to the table, or what brought the lyrical content of that one out?
I got problems, man. No, no, actually, it's funny you mentioned that. I guess I don't really think about it that much, even though I know it is kind of like a kind of prevalent theme throughout my music. I come from a family that has a history of alcoholism and substance abuse, and it's always weighed heavily on me. I have a lot of fears that like things I've seen in the past are things that I'm gonna become. And I think like songs like especially like Limiting, like the first song on that record, which is really for me like um kind of trying to fight wanting to fall into these patterns that you've seen from people you love. And songs like Medicine, which is really about punishing yourself, but it's about it for your mistakes, but it's about punishing yourself in so many different ways. And I think like substance and self abuse are like big parts of that. But I also think like the other side of Darkest Days, which I think is really cool, is like I do tend to write about these things, but I think I always kind of end up turning it into a bit of a positive spin at the end. Like especially like the last track in Darkest Days. I think Darkest Days itself thematically as an album really is like taking advantage of second chances and changing of perspectives and stuff. Especially like Polaroid's like that too. Like Polaroid is very much a song about switching your perspectives on stuff.
Yeah,
And
turning two.
turning two, if you
Yeah.
will. And then it kind of ends with Darkest Days, which kind of like sums it all up. And it's like darkest days can make the brightest nights, and that like you go through all of these, you can go through all these really bad stuff, but there's still light at the end of the tunnel, and there's still positive outlets for all of that struggle, if you will.
To be clear, obviously it's part of your life and is influencing your lyrics, but you didn't set out to write an addiction or recovery EP with that.
I mean, that's not necessarily what I intended to write, but if that's what that's what someone takes away from it, then that's awesome. Like that's important.
I mean, you guys had the visual even. I forget which song that is, but they got the music video porn, the wine bottle, right, in the tub and whatever.
Medicine.
That was
Is
all.
that Medicine? Yeah.
That was fun. But yeah, no, it's actually funny you bring that up because so Count to Four back in the day, we released this full length album called Between Two Cities, which was about at the time it was about me struggling like going back and forth driving to college and then also trying to struggle being in a band at home, and I was literally stuck between like two different people. And I had a bunch of people while we were on the road come up to me and be like, is this album about substance abuse, like getting over drug use and stuff? And I was like, it's not how it was intended to be, but I guess there's just like kind of a part of my past or my like things I've experienced that through this kind of history and my family assumptions of you that I think just like kind of seeps into my writing, whether or not I think about it or not. And I do think that like if that's what you're taking away from it, there's certainly parts of it, like especially like I said, songs like Limiting and Medicine. But I do think like if you're taking that away from the songs, like I think that's a totally valid read, and that's awesome. Like I think that's great.
No, it's interesting. I guess now to Shane and Matt, you guys had written those songs and had layouts and things like that. I know you'd said you were looking for another player, you were looking for the vocalist, you were looking for the guy that was going to fill out the band. I mean, how much trust does that take? I mean, we joke about it a little bit, but Matt, you're like handing off your babies here.
Yeah, it was hard. I was like, so like I grew up, I was more along the lines of like, I liked melodic hardcore punk and stuff. So when I first started this band, I was kind of like leaning towards that. And you can kind of hear it in some of the heavier riffs and like the fast punk beats and stuff. So I never really imagined a singer like Mike coming into this band. I had, more of like a grittier style. And then he came in and it was a style that meshes so well with what I did. And I don't know, it was like the perfect mix of a genre that I hadn't really heard before.
He loves me.
I do.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely. I mean, I remember hearing the demo for Nice Thing that Mike sent me and going, "This guy can sing. We need him." Like, because I can't even explain. I mean, I got so lucky when we started with the Punches that it was like I put out a MySpace classified ad. My singer Jesse messaged me, and that was it. It was the first message I got back. I don't know how that even happened like that. But if you really like try to start a band and you're like, I need a guitar player, I need a singer, it is so hard to find the right people. It's insane. Like, and not only do they have to be good, but you have to all get along and mesh well. You right? We could be the 5 most talented people in the world, but if we don't get along and we don't, see eye to eye and musically, then it doesn't matter how good you are. It doesn't work.
We are 4 dudes of a certain age here. I can't think of a single guy that is like, you know what I want to do in my late 30s? I want to make friends. Like, it's like, no, that sounds
Yeah.
awful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, yeah, when I heard Mike's vocals, I was like, if he wants to do this, we need to get this guy because he sounds really good. And so, we brought him in, and like Matt said, like a lot of the songs that we wrote were like kind of faster. You can tell like Darkest Days is a fast song. Mike putting his spin on it made it unique. And I knew that it was hard for Matt to kind of move in that direction because of how we tried to start this whole project. But you could see the progression in how he felt about the music from when like Mike first started like changing parts to like when we put out Darkest Days, right? It was like a kind of like a 180, right? Like it was hard. It was like, oh, we have to change this part. He's like, but I love that part. But it's like what? But like as you continue to go through the process, you could tell that you were making something unique and really special. So it made it easier to continue as it progressed. It made it easier to make those changes, right? To update and make those songs end up becoming what they were.
I mean, so Mike responding and sending you that's like your Pete Patrick like moment where you're like, oh, it's not the vocalist I was looking for, but we'd be foolish because he's just got the ability, and we'll make it work. We'll write the songs that fit.
Yeah, 100%.
Because the talent's there. Yeah, that's great. Having all that experience, like you guys have said, you guys were touring, you were playing, you were doing all this stuff. I imagine that too, like there was a certain level of expectation of commitment, ability. Did that come together real quick too?
So we didn't play our first show until like right before Darkest Days came out. I think it was like October.
Really?
We played our first show, and Darkest Days
Mhm.
came out in like November. So we were literally just trying to get together and just make this band like sound good for a recording first. And like then we I mean, Mason didn't really even come into the fold until we were like almost ready to record. So like the 3 of us paid for the recording. We didn't even make Mason chip in because we were like, we're just bringing you into this band. You want to be in it. If you record the bass, like if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But like we're just trying to get this
Most
whole
bass
thing off the
players I've
ground.
ever heard.
We were talking about how like we just happened like finding people both who mesh with you musically, but also like as friends and as people and stuff. And Mason, how he got in this band was really funny. We did not have a bass player going into the studio. It was just good. I was probably just going to be me playing bass, like root notes on bass and whatever, just to get it done. And Mason had played drums for one of my best friends. They were in a prog band back in the day, so they're out here playing like 15/8, going into like crazy time signatures and stuff. And Mason, I knew, had played bass, just like that was the first thing he played, and then like learned how to play drums later. And I was at a Phillies game because that's where I spend almost the entirety of my summers, at the ballpark. And when my friends who were on camera, they saw me and they put me up on the giant screen, and I was essentially like freaked out at the Philly Stadium trying to get people to like get up and stuff. And so later that day, Mason texted me and goes, first time I talked to him in probably like years. Like I did not talk to Mason in a while, and he texted me, goes, "Did I just see you on the screen at the Phillies game?" And I was like, "Yeah, that was me losing my mind on the giant screen." And it just popped in my head, like, Mason plays bass. I was like, dude, actually, crazy question. Can you,
While you're here, no.
Yeah, while you're here, while we're talking about this, hey, good to talk to you for the first time in like 2 years. But he was like super about it. He hadn't been in a band in a while, and it's just so funny to see like I said, this dude who was like a prog drummer and like comes and like loves Grateful Dead,
Obsessed.
and
Loves
obsessed
them.
with Grateful Dead and bluegrass, just like hop into this pop punk band and be like, "Hey guys, what's up?" And he's just like the nicest, most amicable human being in the world, and just also slaps the absolute shit out of the bass. Like
He's
just
better individually than all of us at all of our own instruments. It's
probably
insane.
combined.
He's the
Yeah,
greatest musician I've ever seen in
Yeah.
my life.
but is content with playing like 4 chords and letting me wail. Like that's it, which is so funny. But
We're not writing
together.
awkward time signature pop punk. I mean, let's go. Let's get it.
Hey, we have one time signature change in the new EP, which
It's
is
not
pretty-
too crazy though.
Yeah,
But
it's
Mason
fine.
was worse.
See, I'm old school pop punk. You get 3/4 and 4/4. Anything after that, like what are we doing? Like
Yeah.
I don't understand. Well, actually, I guess that sort of ties in because a couple weeks ago I got to talk to a Jersey band that went away, Tokyo Rose. Don't know if you'd be familiar, but like the interconnection of the Jersey scene at large, especially in their area, like blew me absolutely away. You guys talked. I mean, I think everyone originally more Jersey Shore, but then moved around a little bit. Like, how deep are some of the connections? Like you said, I mean, he didn't play the kind of music you were thinking of, but just like randomly, you're like, I know a guy who's one of the best bass players around. And you guys have played in other bands and stuff like that. How much do you think Jersey impacts who you are as a band and the influences you had, the bands you listen to and stuff like that?
I think it's huge. I mean,
Yeah.
Matt and I grew up going to shows in New Jersey, specifically places like the Birch Hill that doesn't exist anymore, Club Chrome that doesn't exist anymore, the Stone Pony when Asbury was still a crap hole that nobody wanted to go to, and now it's like a mecca for music and just going. It's like a travel destination now. But like so many like I grew up going to like when I was like 15, 16, my parents used to drop me off at the Birch Hill on a Friday night. I didn't even know who was playing. Like I
It
would
was
just
like every
go.
weekend of our lives.
Yeah, you just go. People would just like drop you off at the concert hall venue. You paid $15 to get in and just watch bands. And I can't tell you how many bands I've seen play at when I was younger, but like specifically like New Jersey, like I mean some of my favorite bands like in this genre come from where we're from, like Saves the Day, Midtown, like
Midtown.
Lifetime.
I grew up Lifetime. I grew up going to shows where the opener on every emo pop punk style show in like the early 2000s was like Armor for Sleep or Senses Fail. Like they were just like the opening bands. That was like the local band that ended up blowing up. So like there were so many bands that I love that came from the early November. That's another one. Like they're all from here. Like it's wild to see how many bands like came up in New Jersey in the early 2000s, you know, even like late 90s, early 2000s. It was like a mecca. Like I could go to a show every weekend and there'd be somebody awesome playing. And like it was just such a cool place to grow up specifically for music, you know.
When I was talking to Ryan from Tokyo Rose, like he told a story that was exactly like that. He was like, "Well, we were playing a show. It was in Gabe Supporta's basement, and this guy played with us, and oh, that's the guy that started Armor for Sleep, and this guy played with us. Oh, and he went on. He was one of the first members of the Census Fail, and it was just like you're talking about. It was like you could just walk through a sweaty basement somewhere in New Jersey, and 5 years down the road, realizing you were rubbing elbows with basically half the Warped Tour lineup or something like that. You know,
Yeah. I saw
um,
Thursday in a basement in New Brunswick. You know, like it's
that's
wild.
yeah. Yeah, that we didn't even mention Thursday at first, which is for me
Yeah.
like one of
Yeah,
the
Thursday.
foundational. Yeah,
My chem too was, you know, it's like they're all from
right.
New Jersey. It's wild.
And then and you guys can inform me on this too, because I was talking to him like, well, you also had like kind of right there, you got the Long Island scene, you got like inner city New York,
Yeah.
you got punk scene and whatever. But he was like, no, you don't understand. Like Jersey, like we didn't need any. Like we liked that existed, but like there was so much going on that I think he felt like he wasn't even fully aware of what was going on, you
That
know, on the other side, just because there was so
that is
much.
100% accurate. 100% accurate. Like I would go to shows in New York and Philly if they were like shows I knew weren't like coming through New Jersey, but that was like few and far between. Like there were not a lot of shows that didn't happen somewhere nearby in New Jersey. Like I remember going to see like I saw Strike Anywhere, the explosion in AFI at the Irving Plaza in New York City, which was one of like the few shows that my parents drove me to New York City when I was like 16, I think, or 17. But like outside of that, there were just enough shows to go to so locally. Even like I was talking about like the Stone Pony Birch Hill. Those are like the legit venues. We used to go to places like the Prince of Peace and Howell, like that was like a, you know, like a VFW style hall that people would just have shows at too. So you just see so many
Roller
bands.
rinks and stuff like
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
exactly. So like it was not just like the actual legit venues. There were just like so many like small DIY spaces too that had shows too. And so it was like you were just inundated with so many good bands and so many good places to go see bands.
I mean, we already got lost in the sauce a little bit about my Kevin Smith obsession, but you know that to me, so much of his story is like Jersey DIY, like the scene doesn't exist that I'm looking for. I'm just gonna make it exist. And then when we talk about the music scene as well, I feel like that is a lot of the Jersey music scene as well. What we're looking for doesn't exist. Okay, we're just gonna create it. How are we gonna create it? I don't know. Someone's got a garage. Let's go. But what is it? I mean, I've asked this question to a couple bands now, but like, what is it about Jersey? Like, what do you think is in the water that all of this is happening in this geographical region? For them, we were talking about, you know, more like a New Brunswick area, but like you can go up and down New Jersey and find
Yeah.
pockets of this stuff happening. Is it cultural? Is it work ethic? Is it socioeconomic? What do you guys think makes Jersey such a hotbed for this?
I mean, I think you're in between. You're directly in between two cities, especially where we live right now, right? I'm an hour from New York and an hour and 15 minutes from Philly, right? So like we're directly between two major cities that have, uh, people commute all the time. Like so, you're the it's a more, I mean, depending on where you are, more wealthy, area of the country, I would say, so people have the means to, be able to afford things like instruments and stuff like that. But I think culturally, I mean, for me, what I think helps spark what happened is the bands that began this whole process that came from me. Like again, I equate it to like the Saves the Days, right? And Lifetimes, the bands that were like coming out of the scene in like the 90s, right? Like
Late
Saves the Day
90s, yeah.
really made their mark in like 2000, 99, 2000, 2001. And because those bands came from that area, it's almost like you could see the progression of like the kids that went to go see them, and then they start their bands, and then those kids branch off into their own bands, and then people go see those bands. It's almost like if you imagine a family tree, right, where like you've got like these bands at the top, right, that started it, and then these other bands that branch off of these bands at the top because they became their local idols, right? Like I seen,
What football style? The Saves the Day coaching tree or something like that?
exactly.
You know, like,
Yeah, exactly.
that's awesome. So do you, as you guys are like back in the scene now, do you find still that hand, I don't want to say hand out, hand up, that camaraderie? Like, is it still about the scene is better when we're all working together and things like that? Are you finding, like, because we keep talking, like it's in your name kind of now. This is a second bite of the apple. The whole scene is getting a second bite at the apple, like as it resurges itself. I often worry that, people can tend to be like cutthroat or be very focused on like what their own agendas are. But I keep hearing that a lot of these pockets of music, everyone is like, no, man, you need to be on this show and you need to be on this show. And certainly I think the scene in New Jersey in the early 2000s was breeding that. Is that what's happening to you guys now? Are you making friends along the way here in our late 30s and early 40s?
There's a lot of camaraderie. The bands we're touring with and meeting, they're just super supportive, and it helps get that push that you need.
I think it's really fun too because the first kind of like run of shows mini tour that we did, we essentially kind of pulled bands from that I had played with and were friends with back in Count to Four's days, like 10, 12 years ago. And also we're recruiting like new bands at the time. So it was kind of a nice kind of big reunion type show kind of deal. So my buddy Ryan, who's it was in a pop punk band called Fourth and Goal up in Connecticut. He's in like a bit of a hardcore band now, and so I ended up calling him and being like, "Hey man, you want to get the bands back together?" kind of a thing. So I think it's a really awesome kind of like lineage of bands and respect that you're kind of dealing with. Like I may, because I'm doing this again, because I get to have a second turn at this, I get to rekindle friendships and relationships and play shows with friends that I haven't seen in forever. And then I also get to make new friends along the way. And since like we had that one tour with bands that we knew, and we had another one, a few weekend runs with a few bands from Maryland, like Gabe Woodrow and Aida and stuff. Like we also became
Gabe
friends.
Woodrow.
Yeah, we just played a show with him a few weeks ago. And so I think like that camaraderie and that wanting to, help everyone as much as you can, that's still kind of there. But I do think it's awesome to also be like, let's bring friends back. Like, let's make new friends and let's bring the old friends back into the fold, and let's all have a giant big friend circle.
You guys are working on a new set of songs, new EP, supposed to come out in the summer, I think. So Mike, this means that you've fully been in collaboration with this. You're writing the songs together. We don't have to tear a song apart and put it back together. Based on everything you guys had done before with Darkest Days and now working on Never Meant to Fit, what's different that we're bringing to Never Meant to Fit as that is scheduled for release?
I mean,
A lot.
I was wondering who wanted to go first.
I think this is so Mike did bring, because Matt and I had brought so many of the songs to the table for Darkest Days. There are a couple songs on Never Meant to Fit that are collaborative, but Mike also did bring some stuff to the table that he was sitting on, right? Because it's kind of like, we gave the majority of the songs the last time around, and Mike had these ideas that we never ended up putting on Darkest Days. So we used a few of those ones that were in Mike's chamber, right, ready to go. Like he mentioned before, Nice Thing. That was the first demo he ever sent me, right? So he pretty much had that fully fleshed out, to the point Matt came in and put his spin on some of the guitar parts. I put my spin on my own personal style on the drumming and stuff like that. But we kind of did what Mike did for a couple of those songs on Never Meant to Fit, right? But then we also did have like a fully collaborative effort on a few of them too, which you can was really nice to like feel us to come together and be like, okay, these are brand new, like these are just riffs and ideas that we've been toying with as an actual band together that we can put together and make it into a song. So that together, on top of the fact that like now we were writing to Mike instead of Mike writing to us, was a cool different flip of how the process worked for this album as opposed to the last one.
And do you feel like there are thematic elements we're bringing to this one? Is it sound?
Yeah.
I mean, no band wants to make the same album twice or whatever, but are you playing with different influences in terms of sound or different life events for lyrics or anything like that?
Sure. So the album's called Never Meant to Fit, and I really wanted it's based on a lyric in our next single that's going to come out, Nice Thing, which is actually the demo that I sent Shane, which we said. But so the album itself is really about how I was starting to feel as I got older, how you have this kind of perception of what your life is going to be, what you want your life to be, and that it's okay if if that doesn't fit. If what you thought, your perception of your future and what you really wanted it to be, even things that you're experiencing right now, like it's okay if it doesn't fit with how you want your life to go, and that that you can always kind of reshape those pieces and make a new picture. And so a lot of the album art that we talk about, or that we made for this one, it's all puzzle oriented, and it's actually deconstructed single artwork to create it like a different puzzle that doesn't fit together. And another a bit of a spoiler, but this the album ends with this big kind of build in this bridge, and the one of the life's lyrics you hear in the EP is pieces that were lost can still be found. For me, that's like was a big theme of this album, is that there are pieces of your life that you may have lost along the way, pieces of your life that may not fit how you want them to fit, but that's okay because those pieces can still be found, they can still be used, they can still make something different, something new. So that's kind of thematically what the album is about. For musically, was something that I wanted to bring to the table was just like we had this really like love Darkest Days so much. And like kind of how Shane alluded to earlier, it was a very fast record. We had a lot of fast songs. Sideways is a fast song, so we still have that same energy. But I definitely wanted to bring more like poppier elements to it. There's some synth elements to it, some electronic elements to it that we bring to this that we really didn't experiment that much on in the previous EP. It's something that never like overwhelms, but it was really fun because Matt has been like very like I don't know about the synth kind of thing so far, and there's the song we have called No Skips that is like one of his favorite
Best thing
songs.
I've ever heard.
Yeah, it's his favorite song. And I was like, during the demo process, I was advocating for like, hey guys, it's got a shuffle beat to it. Kind of like Everybody Wants to Rule the World-y kind of shuffle
Like a
beat.
waltzy kind of beat.
Yeah, and I was like, what if we added some like 80s synth bass under this? And I definitely like oversold it. It was like so loud in the song,
It
and
was
I was like,
so much.
maybe not do this. And so I was like, all right, fine. We take it away. We bring it to Matt Weber at Gradwell House, who's producing and recording the record, and he's listening to the song, and he's like, think some synth bass would be sick in this. And I was like, yes, it would, Matt Weber. Yes, it would. So, but he did it in a way that was much more tasteful than anything that I did. So there's like certain synth bass that like pop in and out of the songs. I really wanted to make this album feel big. And for me, that's always been about like vocal layers and
Mhm.
making big sounds and big choruses. And I just like kudos to the other guys too, because they really let me just like go off on those ideas and make the choruses like layered, and we're just very supportive through the whole process of like, yeah, this is going to sound different from before, but we're excited to like move forward and make some changes and still keep that energy that we had through Darkest Days, but expand it, make it bigger, and make it fresher, something new.
What for you guys was the recording process like? Because I know um so much now. I mean, with being available demos, home studio recording and things like that. And then I mean, did you end up renting time and trying to do it all at once? Did it come together in pieces? How did it come together?
And we did it for a week straight at the Gradwell House. So we were
Okay.
just there. What was it, 6 days or was it 7 full days?
7 full days we did,
Just
yeah.
7 full days, yeah. And Matt Weber, who's our producer and recording engineer, is just a godsend. Like he's so good at what he does, and he throws ideas out to us that we never would have even thought of when we were writing it. And even when we thought we had a fully finished, polished product, he would just be like, "Hey, try this a little bit," and change some of the parts we even wrote, and it made the songs infinitely better.
He's just super easy to work with. Like he recorded Darkest Days also. Um, and so the process for Darkest Days was so good and it felt so good, the whole thing, that we were like, I don't think there's anybody else we could go to for this new album other than Matt. So we went back, and again, same thing, knows exactly what he's doing, but also feels just like a friend, that you get to see. Like, we don't see him that often, but like when we do, it's cool and it's fun. We hang out with him, and he's just a great guy and does great work. He just recorded the newest Sweet Pill record too, which is absolutely phenomenal. If you haven't listened to it yet, it's so good. Yeah, he's just I can't say enough good things about Matt and recording at Gradwell with him.
I think it's a testament too that just like even sonically this record it's sound like a Darkest Day sounds awesome, and it's got this like kind of raw energy to it, which I think is really cool. And this EP definitely has its own feel to it, and it's really fun to just like it's the same band coming in the same place with the same dude, but still able to make something new and that sounds new and sounds different and sounds kind of fresh. And in terms of like demoing and writing and stuff, we what our process kind of was if anybody had an idea, they would just kind of throw it down on whatever digital audio workstation, if you will, that they had, and they would essentially throw it to me. And we actually spent a lot of time in my room here doing stuff. So we would like go over demos, chop up demos and stuff in my office here. And I don't know if you can tell this about me, but I have a very dry and sarcastic sense of humor. So we actually had to have a method of if I was joking, we needed to find a way to let everyone know I was joking without me admitting it. So I have a hat, which we were complaining earlier that there was not enough hats in this band. So I have this hat here. This is my eagle hat. So whenever I'm joking, but no one can tell, I have to turn the eagle hat on.
It's pretty much on 100% of the time.
Yeah, it's pretty much on 100% of the time. So I could be here and I could be like, Matt, I really can't stand what you're doing on this song. Like, I think it's awful. I think you should probably go back to power chords. Maybe a few dissonant sevenths. We could change this into like a bit of a hardcore band experience. But what you're doing now, I cannot stand whatsoever.
There were multiple points where I thought I was going to just leave the band before I realized how sarcastic he really was.
And that's why we have the eagle hat, so people know.
I have to admit, I'm not sure. Even knowing you're joking, I'm not sure I'd have been able to resist the urge to rip the eagle off.
I know. We need something over the top to really hammer home that I was kidding.
He plays shows with it too. So
I was gonna say that looks like it should be your stage gear right there. That's
could be.
We're throwing him with the helix. We'll make sure next time it gets on stage.
I'm not gonna come back from that. Did you guys bring? I mean, obviously that was part of a joke, but like we've already talked about this like synth pop or whatever things like that. Did you guys specifically bring in any influences, things you've been listening to the last 5-10 years or whatever that maybe take it in a new direction or change some of your songwriting? Like who were you listening to that obviously once again you don't want to recreate, but who are you listening to that you think influences the new album?
So I will tell you this, of the people that we have showed these songs to, without literally like they're separate human beings that do not interact with each other that we would show this to, there are several, probably more than a dozen people that have said Coheed and Cambria meets like Fall Out Boy. So
you're speaking my language. I'm ready for this now. Let's
yeah.
go.
So a lot of it, like so much of it has been Coheed, and again, that's a collective favorite band of ours too. But there's a lot of, you can hear it in like, especially like the song that Matt loves, that's kind of got that 3/4 waltzy kind of feel to it. If like I joked with Mike that I was like, that's the fourth like Valorian Camper song, like it's got that kind of vibe to it. I actually really, it was my least favorite song going into the studio, and now I love it. But yeah, I mean, I think what's really cool is like, even though you can clearly hear like a Coheed and like a Fall Out Boy influence, especially the vocal style that Mike has, I think lends itself to like a lot of Patrick. But I think one of the really cool things is that like all these songs have like a different vibe. Like you're not going to sit here and listen to all 7 of the songs and go, I know what that band definitely does, right? Like it's not just like, hey, this is, every song sounds like a fast punk beat song or whatever, like you've got Sideways, which is our a fast one, we've got another one called Hourglass that really amps up that like pop with like the culture, like the chorus that like really hits and is just like that bob your head catchy. We've got the one called No Skips that Matt likes, that's kind of a waltzy like Coheed, slower bouncy Coheed song. There's like something for everybody, I think, on this record, and that's why I think it's so cool.
You mentioned that. I always loved Coheed, like I always respected Coheed, but the album last year, like to me was just like, oh, these guys are just proving, like, it's almost like they had something to prove again, and they were like, okay, everyone still talks about Favorite House Atlantic, we're gonna write a better album,
Yeah.
we're gonna do. So the fact that whatever it is, 20, 30 years on, they're still putting stuff like that out, that's a pretty good model to follow.
Yeah.
And once again, the ability to write the fast pop punk song, but then do something more experimental and play with whether it's bass line with the synth or whatever. Yeah, that's awesome, man. And do you, obviously you guys are proud of the work or whatever, but is there a certain element that you're excited for people to hear? Is there a certain song that you think really puts the stamp on who Turn 2 is in the future?
Cannot wait for people to hear Hourglass. I just think that's like, I think all the songs are great. Hourglass and No Skips are two songs that have gotten like really, really, really great feedback. But I listened to the I think it's a testament to how good the EP is that no one likes to hear themselves talk or sing or hear themselves on the phone or recording or something, but I listen to this EP like once a day. I think it's so good. And pat myself on the back a little bit there. But every time Hourglass comes on, I hear it and I'm just like, I can't wait for people to hear this one, and the chorus of that one is just something that gets me really, really excited.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the thing that I'm most excited about is the fact that I think people will now kind of understand what we're capable of as a band, right? They can't pigeonhole us into one thing.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily want that, right? Like, I love fast punk beats. I don't think we're going to stop writing fast punk beats, but I like really poppy, catchy choruses too. I don't think we're going to stop doing that either. Like, it's not that we don't want to be pigeonholed into a genre. It's just that, like, I feel like we're capable of more than just being one thing. Right? Like, I don't think
Yeah.
Turn 2 is a single thing. I think Turn 2 is what feels good, that fits this mold of, like, what we've started, showing the world what we can, as what you've
And
heard so far.
I
Right?
think this EP showcases, like, all of us specialize in kind of different styles and genres, and you can hear every element of that in all of these songs. And it's cool that we finally got to really collab that together. Because Darkest Days, like we said, it was great. We all like that style, but it was kind of just me and Shane, and then Mike did his touches to it. This one, you can finally hear everything meshing together. It's just so cool.
And yeah, I think I looked into that. These are your first songs at full power, so to speak. You guys didn't have any single releases or anything like that in between.
No.
No, we focused on getting this down, and like kind of Shane was alluding to before, it's like we've been getting a lot of Coheed from this, which is like probably
Wow.
due to the fact that I listened to Coheed maybe like nonstop for 8 months, like right before writing all these riffs and stuff. But like, to me, it's just so much fun because like Rufio is a really big influence on me too, like really riff heavy, fast pop punk. But the cool thing with Rufio too is like they're so melodic, and I really love this idea of like riff heavy music, like Coheed, Rufio riff heavy music, and then like some things that I listen to that have been brought into this was like, I don't know if you've ever like listened to the Beaches, which is they're an all girl band from Canada that are just making like killer fucking songs. Check out the Beaches, they're fucking
Add it
awesome.
to the list.
Yeah, but like their kind of pop rock was like really influential with me on like vocals and like certain sounds I wanted out of my guitar. And another they're a small kind of pop electronic band. It was Moody Judy was another one that like the one song Velvet Connection was like, that's kind of the thing that I heard going on in the background of No Skips and stuff. So like just I think it's really cool to just have this quote unquote pop punk band, but just to say like that's not going to limit us. Like we can take so much inspiration from so many different places, and like we have the ability to make this different, make this a different kind of experience, something that evokes nostalgia of the early 2000s, but feels new. Like that's, to me, that's kind of I think what we're all trying to do here.
Nice. This takes us to the end of our time here. I always like to close people out just with a couple more like fun questions. Some of it's state of the scene, some of it's cultural stuff, where you grew up, just some rapid fire questions to get to know you and some of the ways that you see the world. So the first one, in all your bio materials and stuff like that, you guys specifically rep the Jersey Shore. As a millennial, I have to ask, who was the best cast member on the Jersey Shore?
Oh God. It was I don't even know if so. I didn't really watch the show because it's like
You're telling me you guys are from the Jersey Shore and you didn't watch Jersey Shore?
because
None of
it's
those
just
people were from
That's a
Jersey
poor
Shore.
representation of us.
they're not us. Those are New Yorkers. They're terrible. They come and invade us every summer. But yeah, I
Imagine
mean,
Snooki singing lead vocals.
Best
and
cast
it's
member on
gotta
the
be
that's how we
Snooki,
could do
right?
it.
Was
It's gotta
No, it
be
was the
gotta be
Snooki.
letter.
Snooki?
Who?
The
The
best cast member is the letter.
The letter.
letter.
Oh, the letter to Sammy or Sammy to whatever his name is.
No.
It was its own character.
Yeah.
You guys had like a real like that. I don't know. It invoked the Smiths for me for a second there because like that the Jersey Shore says nothing to me of my life. That is not. Okay. Once again, Jersey, such a strong band culture. What is when you're playing hometown, especially or home state? What are your post show rituals? How do you guys unwind after a show? Where do you go to eat? What does it look like? What was the spot to go to after a show?
Oh, if you're hungry and you're playing a show in Asbury Park, you're going to Mogo afterwards and getting
Where?
Mogo. It's
Mogo?
like a Korean tacos and burritos. It's awesome. And it's like
Yeah.
one of the it's a late night spot, right? Like it's like one of those places that stays open till like 2 o'clock in the morning. It's like when you're out drinking in Asbury Park and there's nowhere else to go and you're starving and it's 1 a.m. Mogo's the place to go because there's nowhere else open.
And used to be the New Brunswick food trucks way back in the day.
Oh God.
Oh yeah.
But yeah,
What-
in
What do we
Asbury,
order there? What do we?
I get the Korean pork burrito with kimchi on it. Very good.
That's fancy, dude.
Very good. I haven't been there in a while.
Any others?
I have a new favorite post show ritual. In that I think what my favorite thing to do after a show now is go sleep over Shane's house and watch Heated Rivalry.
No.
Because that's what we did after our last show, and it was awesome.
It is. We did. We had a nice time.
I mean, you guys might have seen the memes and the videos and stuff, but like once again, we're minor league city, but we have a beloved minor league hockey team, the Toledo Walleye, and we were at a game recently, and someone turns to me and goes, "Okay, when do they start kissing?" Like when?
My wife is huge into queer romance novels. Like that's her. She goes to like queer romance novel conventions all over the place. This was like a big deal for her when the show came out, and so I watched it with her, obviously, and it was awesome. Like it's so good. It's so good. And so I had to force my bro to watch some other bros fall in love.
I mean, he didn't force me. I'm willing to watch it. It's not like I'm not willing to watch it.
I watched it and I enjoyed it. No.
It was pretty good.
That is so funny to me because I do remember like I have some friends who are in like the fanfic community and stuff like that and book talk and all that kind of stuff. And I remember a couple years ago when they were like, what's really popping right now? Queer hockey romance. And I was like, what are we doing? And then so for the TV show to become like the biggest thing, I'm like, oh, they were right. Yeah. It was the next big thing.
It's really good. You should give it a chance.
Crazy subgenres. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to watch it. For your money, any one of you or all of you, what is the best band to come out of New Jersey?
Oh, I kind of had a feeling you were going to ask.
I know. This. Big question. I know.
Man.
Bruce Springsteen count?
Yeah. So...
I mean, he does. Give me another one, but he does.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't.
Best or our favorites?
I feel like you would think it's the same thing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say Saves the Day. I just think that they started something, and
remember the Bouncy
I
Souls.
latch and so I have a Bouncy Souls tattoo, yeah. So I can't deny that. But Saves the Day, I mean, sparked a lot in me when I was young, and them being from here meant a lot too. So I would pick Saves the Day.
Okay. We've already mentioned, it keeps coming up, Asbury Park. Stone Pony and the summer stage and stuff like that has become a way of life. Whether I guess I didn't realize that wasn't always a thing, that used to be a little divier there, maybe in Asbury Park or whatever.
Yeah.
But what would be the best show that you guys have seen in a place like Stone Pony?
AFI play with Most Precious Blood and Strike Anywhere at the inside Stone Pony. The summer stage has really only been a thing for the last like 10, maybe 15 years. And it used to just be the inside Stone Pony, which is probably like Matt, well, like a few hundred people, 800 to 1,000 at the most.
Probably,
Less,
yeah,
right?
probably even less.
750
I think it's
maybe.
like a 500 person max
Yeah.
inside.
And I just remember seeing AFI there and it being like a god, like, because AFI was one of my favorite bands. Like, being like when I was like a sophomore in high school, like AFI was like the band I listened to like constantly. And I remember being in the pit for that show, and my parent, it was at a time where Asbury Park was like, it was so run down and like crappy. Like, this is like, I'm talking like 1999 probably, 2000 maybe. But it was such a crap hole that like your parents, if you went to the Stone Pony and they were dropping you and they weren't staying, they would drop you off at the door and they'd pick you up at the door of the venue because they did not want you wandering anywhere else in the entire, town. Now it's like there's luxury condos on the beach, but but that show, I remember going in and being in the pit for all the bands and then leaving the venue and looking down at my feet and seeing blood all over my shoes and realizing I had it coming out of my mouth. But I was like the happiest kid on the planet. I was like, I just got beat up in the pit for these amazing bands and I had the time of my life, and I just like,
That sounds very AFI too.
it
Like
was just like a
it's the
very
old AFI.
vivid memory I have of just like just realizing that there was like blood on me, but being like, because like even when back then, I mean, I don't really do that anymore now that I'm almost 40, but back then I remember like anytime like you would be in a pit and you'd like, jump around, people, and you fall down, people would pick you up. Like nobody was ever out to like hurt anybody else. It was just like a means to release, tension and aggression
Into your face,
yeah, into your face,
To your face.
But it was, that was one of my more, memorable shows as a young person going to see them play.
It's funny you mentioned that too, because this is before I even knew you. It was the first punk show I ever went to. It wasn't at the Stone Pony, but it was AFI and Death by Stereo, and I too got my face rocked at that show. Came out, my eye was swollen shut, bleeding everywhere. And I was just like, this is something I feel like I should be doing for the rest of my life.
Mike, you got a great show memories? I mean, it doesn't have to be Asbury Park. That's just one we mentioned. But, defining show for you in Jersey?
Yeah. So this kind of goes into how South Jersey is a bit of a different state altogether than the rest of New Jersey. We're very Philadelphia coded. A lot of my early show memories were like taking the train into Philadelphia and going to smaller venues around the city and seeing stuff. So back in the day, the Electric Factory was a big deal venue in Philly. And this was my first show at big boy concert I ever went to. It was Fall Out Boy right after Take This to Your Grave came out. Midtown, Gym Class Heroes before Paper Cut Chronicles came out, and Academy is before Almost There came out. And that show was insane. Like that bill itself is insane. And this is like 2002.
You caught like the entire Fueled by Ramen roster.
Yes, yes, that's exactly what it was. And so like that, like no one had heard of Academy is or Gym Class Heroes at that point. So I got to hear like all the hits off of like Almost There and Paper Cut Chronicles just like live for the first time. And going and buying those records later, being like, I heard this one live. I remember this one specifically. Like it was really cool. And then just seeing like Fall Out Boy open with Tell That Mickey Just Made My List of Things to Do Today, and like they play, it was a holiday show, so they played You'll Shoot Your Eye Out then too.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was just, and like that wasn't even released yet. Like they were getting ready to like put that out, and it was that's like one for that show was like, I want to do this. Like this is what I want to do for the rest of my life is play shows. So.
And I'm the closest major metro for like a Warped Tour or something like that for me is Detroit. And so both in 2004 and 2005, when Fall Out Boy was really on the come up, basically shut down Warped Tour 2 years in a row in Detroit because the crowd just got so insane and stuff like that. And the first year, like I don't even think they were on like the main stage at that point because they were just really breaking, and you just can tell that like, oh, they were not prepared for what is happening right now. All right, guys, that covers all of my questions except for this last one, which for the purposes we're doing is probably the most important. The final question: if someone wants to check out all things Turn 2, the places you're playing, the new music, including Sideways that comes out tonight as of this recording, where can they find more and where can they listen to you?
You can find us on all social media. We've got TikTok, we've got Instagram, we've got Facebook. It's all Turn 2 Band, all spelled out TURNTWOBAND, on all social media. We also have a website that's got all of our shows listed, future shows coming up on listed on it. You can get snippets of some of the music on there, stay up to date with what's newest with the band on our official website. But then if you want to listen to our actual music, we should be on every single streaming platform. We're on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, Deezer, Tidal, all those. I don't even know half the names of them anymore. There's so many of them, but we should be on all of them. I haven't checked all of them, but we should be on all of them.
Deezer is the one for me where I can tell someone who's had to look at like the distribution stats of their band or whatever.
Yeah. So,
okay, that is awesome. And do we have a general timetable for Never Meant to Fit, or just keep watching?
So right now we're in the process of putting out. We've got this one Sideways coming out tomorrow, and then we've got Nice Thing will come out in April, and then I think we're gonna just kind of keep rolling with some singles off of that, and then at some point this summer, Never Meant to Fit will come out, all together, So we're kind of slow rolling them, but it's exciting because we want to give each song its due diligence, because like I said before, we're so proud of the fact that all of these songs have their own it's their own entity, right? Like, we think that they all deserve the spotlight because they're so different from each other, that we want to make sure that when they come out that they each get their proper highlight. People can get into that song and not be distracted by all the other awesome songs we have. So that's kind of how we're playing it right now, but yeah, it's sometime this summer, I would say.
All right. Well, guys, this has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for being a part of this conversation. Shane, Mike, Matt, thank you for being a part of the Never a Phase podcast. Everybody, this is Turn 2. Go check them out.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, man. It's a pleasure.
Appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you. This show is a part of the Never a Phase Network, a collective of creators dedicated to keeping the spirit of the scene alive. Our network of creators make social media content, they share music news and reviews, and of course bring you great podcast content. For more information, please visit neveraphasenetwork.com and follow Never a Phase Network on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube.
When you become a dad, you have no idea what really to expect. As your kids get older, you realize that every parent is trying their best, but rarely has the time or space to talk about their experience. I'm Devin, and I host and produce the Imperfect Dads podcast. I believe every dad cares deeply about their family and needs a space to talk about it. Most of my conversations are with musicians, authors, social media personalities, podcast hosts, and everyday dads. I've even had on some of my favorite musicians, like Matt Pryor and Jim Suptic of the Get Up Kids, and everyone from Jason Isbell's band, The 400 Unit, Chad Gamble, Souther Vaden, Will Johnson, and Derry Deborah. Parenting challenges you and expands your definition of love in ways you'd never expect. The Imperfect Dads is where dads go to talk about their mental space, hopes, exhaustion, and humor that's all part of the journey. Find the Imperfect Dads podcast on your preferred platform, and make sure to follow us on Instagram or TikTok at the Imperfect Dads podcast.